All right, we are live. This is episode 60 of the Deconstruction Podcast, brought to you by Jobtable, the simplest way to grow and manage your construction business. As always, I'm going to kick it off with one of our latest reviews here. This is coming from James Sharon. James is a contractor out of Ontario. So Jobtable has greatly improved the organization of my construction company. They package the key components such as invoicing, quotes, scheduling, and team management. This is all done in a very simple and easy to use format for me and my team. Looking forward to the time it will save me this year. Shout out to James for that review.
Thank you, James.
James.
Nice.
Righty, so let's get into it. Today we got a good one. Our guest started off in the trades doing jobs nobody talks about: tiles, floors, decks, staircases, and instead of staying comfortable, he decided to go all in. He built out an entire full scope construction company, brought the trades in-house, launched a media company, and expanded from Toronto all the way to Miami. In 2020, his team completed 10 projects. In 2021, grew it to 57 projects. He didn't slow down for any pandemic or COVID. He stepped on the gas. He's the kind of guy who doesn't compete with the market. He competes with himself. He is the CEO and owner of Heavy Duty Homes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, Phil Russo.
Thank you.
Welcome, Philip. What an intro, Kosta.
I do my best, man. I do my best.
I want to be a guest on this podcast.
I'd love to hear my intro.
Welcome, Phil.
Yeah, I know.
Guys, appreciate you having me on.
For sure.
Love the name, by the way. How'd you guys get that? The Deconstruction.
Just some brainstorming, man.
Yeah.
I don't know who finally nailed that one. Maybe Johny. I don't know.
Yeah,
One of us. But
yeah, we got to deconstruct it. You know what I mean?
Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, it's a great name.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here. We break down topics and try to give everybody, in our space, the real life behind, every company and, our hurdles, our battles, and try to give people guidance, right?
Yeah.
I find a lot of times, we talk about this a lot when me and Charlie were coming through the trades, and we opened up our own company. When we were looking for guidance, we didn't have this. We didn't have podcasts. We didn't have social media, right? So every time you'd have to book a meeting, you'd have to go and sit down with somebody, and you can tell a lot of people were closed off, right? They didn't want to give you their tips, their secrets, what their challenges were, what their growing pains were. So I felt like, even though we do own and operate a construction company, and we also own and operate a software company for contractors, I thought there's no better way than to just, put faces behind the names and of our company and of everybody else's company that comes onto our show, and talk real life, right? Like everything, they think we swim in money just because there's a big contract or whatever, but I think it's good to get the insides.
You know what it is too.
100%. One
We
thing
did
a lot
so
of
much.
people don't realize too is the reassurance. Aside from the education of a podcast, imagine being a young guy starting out, even if you're not related to this business directly or what you're talking about, reassurance that you guys are going through the same steps, making them feel better about going through the shit, making them feel stronger, lasting longer. That's doing a lot for Canadian businesses, listening to these things. Yeah. They're staying in the fight a lot longer than most people would have because they get scared and I'm going to go back to the union. You hear podcasts like this and I'm like, I can fucking relate to these guys. And you're in the fight for another round.
Exactly.
We did so much shit through trial and error, right? As young entrepreneurs, right? Just rinse and repeat. You make mistakes, you learn from your mistakes. When now, there's so much information out there and there's so much content. And if you can save yourself from 10 mistakes, you'll be ahead by 5 years, maybe more.
100%.
But to your point, Phil, it's also double-edged sword, I think, as well, with how much information is out there. I think it's important to consume the right information because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there.
That too.
You don't want to get advice from someone who really doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
That too.
But look, there's I feel like you have a very unique story and experiences. There's a lot we want to get into, but if you don't mind, take a minute or two, just introduce yourself and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I got bounced around for many years. I was was trying to figure it out in high school. I didn't want to. I knew I didn't want to stay in class. I was leaving school. I was landscaping. I was working as a laborer for multiple companies, and I just knew I wanted to make money. And the questions that I had, nobody in my school could answer them. So I kind of left halfway through and started working in the fields. Worked in automotive. Worked in construction. Worked in landscaping. I bounced around everywhere until finally I had a union job back in 2012. I was actually even in real estate for a whole 6 months, but I couldn't do the fucking shirt collar tie thing. When I was in the union, that's when I took my biggest leap. So I was, working on big city projects, excavations, stuff like that, outside, water management. And I was looking at the guys around me, and they were in their 50s and 60s and all depressed and all doing the same shit. So I threw in the towel one day. I was actually with a girl from high school. Things didn't work out, so I no longer had that family to plan for. So I sold my house, and we called off the wedding, and I told my parents I'm going to come live back home. I want to start something up and take a risk here. So we put all that money from the house into warehousing and trucks and trailers and everything, and I started a brand called PDR Installations, which I originally got certified as a smart home installer. We were doing like control floor, rust sound, stuff like that, and then home theaters. I didn't want to be in construction anymore. But it kept calling me back. Every time I did a home theater, there was always a bathroom involved. There's some more basement work or stuff like that. So it became expensive in the renovation game. Very quickly turned back into building. And then, 5 years goes by and you're working 7 days a week. And all of a sudden the pandemic hits. And now it's just when you're at the pinnacle and you're ready to hit the gas, the government's trying to slow everything down on you. So I started Miami during that time. So, back in 2019, 2020, when that all started, I flew out to Miami, saw that everybody was still working, everything was still full force. So I started door knocking real estate, design firms, architectural firms. I got licensing, got lawyers involved, opened up an actual office and warehouse there and started pushing in Florida. And that's kind of how we expanded into the U.S. market, and it's been growing ever since. So, very, very, very simplified short story. It's been a lot of work. Nothing's easy. It's been a lot of struggle and a lot of heartache and a lot of headache, a lot of loss and a lot of lessons. But that's what we're here to do. If you can iron out that 10 years of pain, you got to set yourself and your kids up for a lifetime of success.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, where to start there? So,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, what surprised you most about how business is done differently, U.S. versus Canada?
U.S. versus Canada. You have your higher and lower end clients everywhere, but in the U.S. there's a much greater volume of higher end clients. By higher end clients, I don't mean people that are just spending money on luxury. I mean people that actually understand the value of what we do. People that are always shopping price do not understand the value of our services as professionals. People that are shopping your company, your background, your crew, are you branded, are you organized, do you have a website, all the things that we think matters, those people see value. So in Canada, when I was showing up with a team, everybody wanted that. But as soon as we showed up, it was like, oh, you guys look expensive. In the States, if we don't come like that, we're not at the table to even price. They're going to treat us like bottom feeders. So
Interesting.
Definitely a much greater volume of people that understand value in a company for serviceability in a long term.
What is that? Why do you think that is? Is it just like a cultural thing? Is it?
They're just so much more financially educated than we are. I mean, you got to remember these people and customers we're dealing with there are, the kids of people that own Fortune 500 companies and stuff. So these kids are not growing up as the children of immigrants who struggled and built a business and saved their money as we are in Toronto. And now we're those kids of those people being the first generation to spend it and invest. These people have been born into investing for 5 generations. So they understand the value of time. They understand, real estate markets. And also the U.S., there's just so much more opportunity for, little taxation and profitability amongst different states. So I have clients in New York spending their money with me in Florida to offload things. And same thing with Arizona and Texas. And these guys are just moving their money to different states, to different businesses. So you do have a lot more opportunity to work with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
I also
It's
know
very, very limited.
I also noticed too, just because like through Jobtable, we have a lot of clients in the U.S. and I find like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I find that Americans are a lot quicker to make a decision. Like you said, they don't sit there and hum and haw and start vetting 5, 6, 7, 8 different quotes or products. It's just like I find a lot in the U.S. they're buying a lot of people. They buy you, like even though that is what we do even in construction. As the first line of defense is you, right? Like when you show up to give a quote or to talk to the client, essentially you do have to sell yourself and your company as a service. But I also noticed too that is their decision maker. Where here in Canada, like you said, it takes so long to get a response, or do you want this? Do you not want it? Do you want us to do the job? And it's the same even with our software, even though we're extremely competitive on the price. I noticed people take a lot longer to make a decision. Where in the U.S., it's like you show them it, and it's like, buddy, sign me up, put me on a year, put me on 2 year, and it's like, holy, like I do notice a huge difference in clientele, like you said.
Yeah, they're not counting those pennies. They're not chasing it. It's like, it's crazy, man. They make decisions, and money doesn't get circulated here the way it does there as quickly and at the volumes that it does there. So people here tend to protect it. If they have a little bit, they hold on to it. They don't want to let it go. In the States, that wheel's just fucking turning. You could burn $1 million now, you'll make $2 million next year.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they value like the difference that I see. And again, this is just my experience. I just feel like they value time more than money. Mm-hmm. Where here, somebody knows they have to spend that $100 and they're taking, a month, 2 months to make the decision to spend it. But little do they know that, for you to take the time to go and shop it around, you have to drive here, you have to drive there, you have to waste an hour here, another 45 minutes there, maybe come home from work earlier to meet the contract so he can give you a quote. And it's like, what did you save? You actually lost. It actually cost you more money in the end, right?
Not to mention, they don't even know what they're looking at for apples to apples when they're looking at multiple bids. They don't know what estimates mean what over other ones. It's crazy. So they could very easily hire somebody who's cheaper and they think they're getting everything. But one little bit of wording, which we catch right away. I ask people all the time, if you're pricing me against other people, let me see those contracts before you enter them.
Yeah.
That's a good perspective with, it being like generational wealth. We're all like first generation Canadians here, whereas they're 6, 7, 8 generations deep, and that like conserving mentality. I never thought of it like that, but that makes a lot of sense.
I got some very good clients that are like they're just, their grandparents started these real estate buy-up firms, and the parents have been running these for 40 years. Now these kids in their 20s have been handed the keys to these firms. Go out into different states and buy properties that they can rent. What 20-year-olds in Canada are given a $5 million bankroll to go find properties to put tenants in, across different provinces? Mm-hmm. We're not learning at the rates these kids are learning at. These trust fund kids or whatever, they're still working. They're born into it. But we just don't have that population here. We don't have that amount of money here.
Yeah.
What percentage of work do you say you have in the States versus Canada?
It's about 50-50.
Yeah.
Mind you, I've been in Canada 3 times as long as I've been in the States, so it's been growing 3 times faster.
That's what I want to get to. So you got into Florida, 2021, you said?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you had did you have roots there, or did you know anyone there? So okay, you ramped that up very quickly, right? So how did you do that? How did you break into this new market on the marketing side? What did that look like?
So asking questions, Googling everything. You have to just kind of see how to start your visa process, and nobody's there to help you again. So you're door knocking lawyers. You don't want to get in trouble, so you're trying to figure out how to do it legally. So the lawyers opened up a company for me. Went and started a bank account, got an address, got a thing, and I didn't realize I didn't need all this yet. I don't have any business to pay for it, so I ended up paying for it with my Canadian proceeds. But I was literally door knocking people. I started what was called an affiliate program. The affiliate program offered 1%, 2%, and 3% kickbacks to realtors, architects, lenders, everybody in housing market and building market that would see a customer before we do as the GC.
Right.
So I arm them with the tools. Instead of developing a costly sales staff, I arm them with the tools to sell heavy duty homes. I don't want you to learn how to sell construction. As a realtor, learn how to get my foot at the door. And then we'll implement the kickback. And now these realtors are eating off of massive construction project commissions as much as they are as selling a site or selling a home or selling whatever. So implementing that affiliate program, it did wonders, and people started calling and they wanted their commissions on referrals. And when people are going to look at properties, I was flying out to go look at them with them before they bought them. So I'm making the realtors look good, helping the lenders out, the architects. Architects go without saying, they already have a project at hand. They just need to know what GC to offload it to. And in Florida, there's so many fly-by-night guys that architects don't even want to refer their clients to a builder. They just say, here's the drawings, good luck. But if you can back yourself with a good architect design team or a couple of them, give them some kickbacks and feed them, they're giving you good projects.
I love that. And is the affiliate program still like the main channel that's driving business?
It's still up and running, but right now, nothing on the real estate lending side. Nobody's buying homes. Nobody's doing stuff
that's
like
true.
that.
But by the sounds of it, you've already made a name, so you're already on the referral of like existing clients, right?
Now we're considered Florida guys for Canadians, which that's another hard sell because Canadians don't understand that Florida is not Canada.
Yeah.
They cost what they cost. Timelines don't run what they run. Trying to explain to them, Canadian dollar is actually like a Canadian peso in comparison to over there. When I'm showing them numbers in US, they're thinking, okay, it's comparable. But once we show that it's double the cost, then you got to convert it. It's almost triple the cost. That's when they kind of freak out.
Yeah. How was it building, and first of all, how did you build the crew down there, and how do you maintain, the culture and quality control? I know you mentioned before we recorded, you're back and forth every week, but how did that look like, just building the team?
I run it as a consulting base over there. So now Florida state certification, I work with different companies that are certified for different things. So I've scouted so many companies and went to go check their work and everything. And I can have guys in different areas that do different things because Florida, there's a market for consulting. So I don't have the same setup there that I have here. In Canada, I'm doing the general contract work. I have the employees, the staff, everything. And we kind of execute all of that and assume all the responsibility and, all the liability. In Florida, I will break the relationship between the client and the contractor. So I handle the money, I handle the quality control, I build the schedules. And because there is a profit margin large enough to take from that, consulting has been the proper niche to work both. So now I don't have to have employees, staff, trucks, liability anymore. We've closed all that. Now I can hire companies, give them the scope, and say, you're not getting paid. You're going to follow my pay schedule. And as on the clients, you listen to me, and I'm going to direct you. So now the GCs are dealing with me instead of a client. I'm not walking in the house saying, why does this light switch have paint on it? Why is this not done? Why is that? I actually know what I'm doing. I'm not, the client stomping around, so they can appreciate me. And then on the other end, the client would much rather pay an extra 40, 50, 60 grand on top of $1 million build to not have to fucking deal with these animals that are going to take advantage of them. Because let's say, the truth of the matter is, even as GCs, as honest as we are, we still have to protect our company. So we're going to have an issue with a client, and we're not going to see eye to eye. But if you have an issue with a client and there's somebody in the middle, there's no protecting your company to save that client. I'm going to just do what's right and delegate and kind of break the issue. So
yeah, and sometimes I like that model because we work for somebody very similar that does the same thing here on the plumbing side. And what I like about that model is, like you said, like sometimes, you got a bunch of animals inside and they're trying to take advantage of a client, which a lot of, I could tell you're not like that. We're not like that. So you mediate or you stop that from happening on the client side. Now, vice versa is when the client is expecting a Ferrari when they've only paid for, let's just say, a Honda. That's where you're able to come in and kind of mediate and just say, look, this is what's in the scope of work. what they've done, you know, I vetted it, it actually is correct. You know what I mean? So if you do want, you know, for example, those upgraded fixtures, or you do want this feature wall, or you do want this, you know, glowing floor, right? Which seems to be, you know, a big thing in Florida from what I hear. It's you know, it's like, look, this was not discussed. That was an extra line item, or that was an extra cost. You didn't take that. So obviously they're not running this. So I can see that helps both the client and the GC a lot, right? Because it's like a middleman, somebody who builds homes, somebody that knows the in and out of building, and also, so you're protecting the client at the same time, but you're being fair with the GC, right? So it's almost like the mediator.
Of course, and then you can even say, okay, normally we charge 22%. You're going to tell a GC you're making 18. I'm taking 4% on this build, and the client won't even see an extra. But now the job's going to run more efficiently because they're working for a contractor, not a client. They're never going to speak. They're never going to know each other.
Yeah, and
go through me.
Yeah, and actually on that topic, because I look at it always, you know, I don't know if you're like me, but every time I go any place in the world, anytime I'm in Europe, you know, the United States, like I was just in Mexico, I'm always looking at like the way they build shit, you know, and it's kind of like, oh, you know, what's the code here? So like, you know, I know Ontario has one of the strictest building codes like in the world, right? So
electrical especially.
Yeah, and plumbing actually too, right?
Too.
Yeah. It's I if I'm not mistaken, it is the strictest in the world. But like getting onto that question is when you're building a home here and when you go to Florida and let's just say building the same home, like never mind costs all aside, what's the difference in nuances from like, you know, building code to building code? Like it like, do we here in Ontario, like is it one of those things, if you could build a house in Ontario, buddy, like across the states, you're flying?
Well, to a certain degree.
Okay.
Florida's a little bit tricky because now you're building hurricane, you're building seismic, you're building on sand, there's water below, there's no basement, so everything's going to be block and lock, it's going to be metal framing. So you're dealing with half residential, half commercial structures going up everywhere. You're dealing with exterior treatments that need to defend against salt. There's tons of ocean salt in the air that eat away a lot of our products and stuff that we have here. So in terms of building and code, they are very strict there too on anything new. And really it depends on the municipality. Like anything where there's a ton of money, Boca Raton, Aventura, Miami, anything, Lauderdale, Naples, you're going to have a heavy strict building code. When you're getting up to Jacksonville and shit, or you're out in the swamps, nobody's coming around for days. It's very different.
No one cares.
That's where you start to see the garbage.
Yeah.
Where do you prefer building?
I love the West Coast. I work from about West Palm Beach down to downtown Miami.
And in comparison to Canada?
It's really nice to build there. Summer months can be brutal. I mean, we have a reverse effect. In Canada, a lot of guys will stop on winter days, especially with the outdoor work. In Florida, a lot of guys stop on the summer days because their mortar and their block, everything's just drying out. They can't pull mortar. The water's drying up. They're burning. So they have a lot of the same issues where they can't work in the summer when that's our heavy season to work.
Yeah.
And profit margin wise, how do you compare Canada versus the States?
We're about 3 to 8% larger margins in Florida.
Nice.
That's something.
And then you have your taxable amount as well, which we're about 30-40% less tax. There's no income tax there. You just pay your corporate taxes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Phil, just on, sorry, Kosta, before you get to the next question. So Phil, in hearing all this just on the tax side, next time you're in Florida, just open up my plumbing company and then I'll meet you there, okay?
Perfect. Yeah.
Just hearing numbers like that, I mean, it really makes you stop and scratch your head and wonder what we're doing over here.
Yeah, people make it sound like you're going to be making millions of dollars hand over fist. It's not that you can rape clients that much more. You're going to charge what's fair. They're going to pay it, and then you're going to give that much less to the government. So when you're working as much volume as you do, at the end of the year, you're like, fuck, I had a great year. And over here, it's like, I did all that, and I'm still barely scraping by. What's the problem?
Yeah,
it's the government.
There's something off.
Yeah. And I say, listen, not to go into detail, we're a decent sized company, and truthfully, I say this all the time, and I hate to say it on air, but look, it's the reality, and we try to be as raw as possible. I feel like a lot of times, man, like you say, like we've had killer years, and it's like you wait for those kind of like final numbers to come in from your accountant or whatever when you're doing year end, and all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, man, like like I'm getting bent over here. Like what am I doing? If you're struggling to scrape by on 10%, no matter if you're doing 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, you're struggling to scrape by 10. And then even off that 10% that you made, they're just like, oh, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Yeah. And I feel like I can never remember the company, but I just remember this one commercial where it's like, hands in my pockets, hands in my pocket. And it's a guy, he's like walking down the street, and there's a guy following him around. Yeah.
Always the banker's hands in his pocket.
Yeah, yeah. And it kind of feels like the same thing here, right? And it's like,
you're 100% right. Canada's just not built for business anymore. And if it will literally, Canada's government, banking systems, and customers will incrementally take from you until you're bankrupt. That's just how it's going to go.
Yeah, and they don't reward us, and it's sad because we are the heartbeat of Canada. Small businesses are the heartbeat of Canada, and then on top of it all, construction is probably our biggest, like if not the biggest, one of the biggest sectors. So
it's everything. And if it's not already, it's bound to be once AI takes all this shit over.
That's what I'm saying. So you kind of look at the incentives, and every time we talk to people from Florida, from the incentives that the government gives, from lowering taxes while we're increasing taxes, it starts to get to a point where, I hate to say it because everybody's been talking about it since COVID, but it's just like, what are we doing here? And it just seems like, just on the last note here, I tip my cap to you because you're one guy that just had the fucking balls and said, forget it, man. Like, I'm fucking out of here. I'm going over there while everything's shutting down here. Like, me and Charlie, we refused to shut down. And we got in a lot of trouble, which, we can talk about off air after. But, we talked about doing the same thing, just saying, fuck this. We're going to open up there because, and since then, truly, it seems like nothing has changed.
Thing is, Phil, you hit the nail on the head. It's really done incrementally, so you don't feel it necessarily when it's happening. You feel it when you look back 2 years and you're like, holy shit, how come I don't have any fucking money in my pocket? Right? It's just done to you slowly, and it's being normalized where it's like, we take a beating. I like to use the reference, we're like a battered wife, and you keep telling everybody that your husband's going to stop beating you, but we just keep coming back for more.
Yeah.
He says he's going to change. He
He promised me he'd change.
You got to remember, the boxers don't often win the fight with one hook, right? It's a lot of jabbing and
jabs. That's what it is, man. And and we're getting to a point where it almost doesn't make sense anymore to run a business here. I feel like we're teetering on that edge now.
Yeah, but I also feel, and not to get too, and I always say this every episode, and I feel like it's like, it's becoming one of my normal conversations. Like, I don't want to get political about it, but it's crazy.
Johny always has to get political.
Yeah, no, but
hey, I don't want to get political about it, but fuck these guys.
Fuck this side and fuck that side. No, but it gets to a point too where they're very smart. Like, not only are they punching us constantly and giving us jabs, but then they're telling the general public that this is why the taxes are increasing. It's to help, right? And you look you look at Ontario, how many people we have here. You look at Florida. In Florida, they have way more people, which means, their government programs are obviously way more popular. Everything's way more populated. Yet over there, they're reducing taxes, okay? And over here, we're raising taxes.
Right.
So I kind of get to a point where, you start to, it's almost like you're battling, the people around you as well, thinking that, oh, well, because you're a business owner, you make a lot of money, I don't want to hear you crying. And it's like, yeah, but like you said, right? You sold your house, you took everything you had, you took a fucking risk, you know what I mean? And you should be penalized for that? Makes no sense to me.
You know, in Florida, the government programs work for only Florida residents. In Canada, it does the exact opposite. So if you have a child, you're a Canadian citizen, and you need a grant for your child to go to extensive school, let's call it, security training. There is absolutely no programs that will support that. But if you are an immigrant or an immigrant family, our government will pay that for you to go to that school and do all that. And fine, you want to help people, but why the fuck are you not helping Canadian citizens as well? The people that are actually paying into the tax systems all the money.
In my opinion, I mean, you could argue that it's done by design, right?
Of course it is.
They don't want small businesses anymore. They want everything to get swallowed up, and they want us to just be good workers, right?
Well,
Obedient workers.
That's how you bring our way of living down. We all have a standard of living, but if you import garbage, now the standard of living is here, because to them, this is not garbage. Now, this is amazing because you gave them a better life, and in turn, you're giving us a worse one.
Yeah.
And just like that, you're going to bring everything to this. And now we're fighting against people that we should not be fighting against, cost-wise and everything, because they're getting an upgrade, and our tax dollars are half paying for it.
Yeah. And even to a point too, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know it's like that. I somebody who owns and operates down there as well, and he's a Canadian. He told us back in the day. So in Florida, like getting back to like protecting, your citizens and everything like that. So in Florida, if somebody starts a project, so let's say it's $1 million project, what I'm told is that there's a lien that's automatically put against the house or the property. The money that the contract is signed for, call it $1 million, is put into trust. So every time you're putting in a draw, the money's there and that money's being released. Where here, again, we're taxed much higher. We're putting, our balls on the line, and we're putting everything we've ever owned on the line to create this company. Okay, sure, you have your CCDC contracts or your CCA contracts. We have prompt payment now, but you never get it on time. And you don't know, like you can be doing a $3 million project for somebody. You don't know how much they have, right? It's not like you're going through a pre-approval, like you're buying a house.
No. In the States, it's up to the GC. You can tell them, put all that money in escrow, and that's perfectly legal. And in Canada, chasing money has become a fucking sport.
I know. I know.
Staying on that just quickly, how are the payment terms in Florida in comparison to here?
You make up whatever you want. You have good clients, they'll follow your terms. I for every project it's different. I'll make up 30, 30, 30, 10, whatever you got to do.
But where here it's normal to not be paid. Like you could be waiting 120 days, and in commercial, industrial, high rise, that's kind of normal.
I do no holdbacks anymore. Canada and US, absolutely no holdbacks. You want a warranty phase, you want a warranty period, you're paying 100% of your bill before I walk. Then we enter warranty phase, you're covered for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever my warranty that applies to that project perceives. But you are not getting a warranty phase unless that entire holdback is paid upon completion.
So see, that's where, and I agree with you, and I love that. But in the world that we operate in, we would never get a job, right? Like because
you're in trades, right?
Yeah. Well, even the constructor or the builder, right? Because a lot of times what happens, just like you said, the drawings are done, it's tendered out. There's a consulting company. So even us, we're only allowed to bill once a month. We bill once a month, and that's not even when the clock starts typically. Then it goes into review through the consultants. The consultants sign off on it. The engineer or the architects, they have to sign off based on, okay, you're billing 20.
You're working for companies, right?
Yes.
You're not working for the homeowner.
No, definitely. Yes.
You're the homeowner. You're going to do the job and say, you're paying me today.
100%. Yeah. But that's why like getting back to like the payments, it's nuts, man. It's nuts. And it's been like getting back to like by design. It's by design, right? Like I don't mind the 10% holdback. Like, look, like for me, it's like, okay,
business,
hold the 10%. And a lot of times that's our profit in the end of it, right? So hold the 10% until the end of the project. You know what I mean? But once I submit my final bill, you now want closeouts, right? Which are my closeout documents, my as-built drawings. You want, my warranty letters, any approved shop cuts, whatever the case may be. But the second I submit that to you, that is now me telling you the project is done. So as I'm submitting that, like we just got a request today on a project that we're on, and we just completed the rough-in. So now they're asking for this. So I just responded kindly and just said, hey, closeout documents, i.e. shop cuts, warranty letter, as-built drawings, will be provided once we're done, and we'll follow with our final holdback release, right? Because I can't give you everything, to protect the client. What are you giving to protect me and my money?
That's right.
Right?
And that's where it goes, 50-50 security. Who's paying first?
Exactly. And I kind of like that kind of model that you brought up, where it's like, buddy, I'm not giving you a holdback. I'm not giving you nothing,
Yeah, of course.
There is no warranty phase without it. So for what we do for construction and all that, if we're not paid in full, like imagine going to a builder buying a new house from a site and they said, okay, you're going to owe us, 150,000 in deposits before closing, and then you have to get yourself a mortgage. Could you ever think of going to that builder and say, I'm only going to give you 110, and then I'll give you the rest later? You're not getting a fucking house.
Yeah, I'll give you the rest after my house closes, and I want to make sure that everything is done properly, and I need to live in it for 45 days.
Yeah. No, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So,
No,
corporations are always protecting themselves. Imagine going to Best Buy and say, I'm thinking of Samsung TV, and I know it's $1,500, but here's 12. I'm gonna go home and plug it in. I'll bring back the 300 next week if it works.
Yeah, or in 45 days.
Insane.
No, you get a service period, you get a warranty period. You want it, you pay the bill.
Yeah, 100%.
But no, it's just kind of wrap this part up. It's absolute insanity here. That's why I really respect people like you, Phil, who really, and we see the writing on the wall, right? In Canada, it's not looking good here, and you actually took the initiative to actually do something. But the unfortunate part is the vast majority of people, they're just talking right now. They're just complaining. They're talking, and there's no action being implemented to improve their outcome. And that's what I hope more people kind of wake up and position themselves to get out of what potentially is on the horizon.
Everyone's screaming and crying for help in their families and friends groups, but nobody's going out there and fucking not banging on these government doors and shit. We're not making any real noise, and I don't think things will change until we do that.
I agree.
Try to pull some shit like this in Texas, you're gonna get 8,000 people storming the friggin' White House the next week.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Different.
Yeah. Speaking on switching gears on the Canadian side of your operations, from what I saw, so you have in-house trades.
Yeah, we did. I had all in-house divisions at one point.
Okay.
I got rid of those when the volume went.
Okay.
In-house flooring, in-house drywall, in-house tile, in-house paint, in-house demo. So everything I had specific crews for.
Okay. But the volume's not there, so you don't have the in-house anymore.
Yeah, and that became very large avenue to bleed from, because as employees, they're going to drag their feet. They're not going to do the same job as a sub-trade will, because a sub-trade is taking care of their own business and an employee is not.
Yeah.
So even though it looks like you're making money, when you tally everything up and see how much you actually bled, it's not worth having it.
I was going to ask that, like, what the reality actually is. Like, does bringing trades in-house actually save money? Or is it more about control and quality?
If you're going to take on volume in this business, you can control everything. Who is where at all the time. You're never going to worry about, I can't make it there today. I got this going on. No, it's fuck you. Stop what you're doing on this site. I need you here. And that's your employee.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you have full control, and that's what you need in a volume game. We have crawled out of that volume business now, and we're only doing high-end or heavy-scale custom. So instead of doing, 50, 60 homes at once, a main floor for this one, 4 bathrooms on that one, an addition on that one, we're only going to take on full-scale projects, and that requires more of a management system than it does rapid-fire employees everywhere.
Mm-hmm. How many projects do you do now in a given year?
On average, about 5 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 to 10 really good projects with really good margins, and I feel like that is a very, very good place. And we'll do I would say about four to six larger ones in the U.S. and 5 to 10
Okay.
smaller
So
ones.
so 10, about 10 in total between.
Yeah. Well, no,
Okay.
about 15 to 20 total between
Oh,
Canada
okay.
and the
Yeah,
US.
yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I think for all of our listeners, I think there's a key thing that you kind of touch base on there, Phil, and correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but a lot of people think it's all about scaling. But once you go through it, like you said, we all took our lumps going through business, and we learn our rights and our wrong. Just like you, I left high school halfway through.
Yeah.
A lot of people paid for education to go to college, university, learn business, learn this. We just went out and put our money on the line, and sometimes we lost, sometimes we made, and that was kind of our schooling. Right. But one of the big things that I noticed that you say there, and something that I'm actually talking to one of my friends who has started their own plumbing company, and he's ambitious, is you got to really find your niche, because a lot of people, they want to grow, and when you grow, you get lost, and like you said, you start bleeding from a lot of which ways, and unfortunately, it's very hard to stop the bleeding, and not just necessarily from saying, okay, I'm slow, I'm going to let these people go, but let's say you've had a killer, let's just say 3 years of a run, and all of a sudden the economy shifts. There's a sentimental value where it's like, I got to keep these guys busy, man. These guys have worked hard for me. How do I just lay them off, right? And I remember one of somebody who's helped me out throughout business when I started scaling. One thing he said to me, he's like, I'm going to tell you something right now. He's like, small companies and extremely large companies are the ones that make it. If you get caught in between, the overhead is going to fucking eat you up.
You get killed in the middle.
Yeah, you get eaten up alive. And that's kind of what I'm taking from what you're saying, and trying to put it into, easy terms for the people to listen to, that it's like, look, you want to do 50, 60 projects a year, you want to have in-house guys, look, it could work. It could. But the downside of that is it can hurt very hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's good when it's good, and it's really bad when it's bad.
Yeah. And it's hard to keep that many people on different divisions constantly going, right? Like how many places?
We have, at that time, we're running $130,000, $140,000 a month just in overhead. So, if I made $131,000 that month, I made $1,000. And how the hell do you do that every month, every year, when Canada is just going further and further down the hill?
Yeah.
Speaking on that, I'd say most trades, most businesses really, like, you hit a ceiling and you can't scale past a certain point. So what's your advice? Like, how did you break through that?
We just started saying yes to absolutely everybody. So we took on the affiliate program. We took on a sales staff, and we took on every single project, big, small, whatever it was. And you have to constantly put people in place to facilitate the growth and get these jobs done. So that's how you got to kind of learn. What it did was create a portfolio for me that only a guy of 50, 60 years in the trade could create. We did, 212 homes in a 5-year span. Most guys will do 1, 2, maybe 3 homes a year, and that'll be their whole career. They won't even see 212 homes. Meanwhile, we're smashing that in 3, 4, 5 years. So the portfolio is extremely expansive. The knowledge base, your network, the people you've gotten together and built things with, and your client base is just so big now, such a short period of time, that's where I saw the exit. When everything started going down, I'm like, okay, I have something solid here that I can use now to expand from. And you strip all the garbage away and see in the core of what you actually are valued at now and who you're valued by.
Yeah.
And then you take it from there. You got to constantly redevelop. Business is about renavigating, because things are never going to be the same forever.
Yeah. Talk about media, social media. Do you still have your media company?
Yes. Well, my brother's still running it. Yeah, he does.
Okay.
He does everything under the sun with the camera. But as far as heavy duty media, no longer in house. That ran really well when we were in the volume game. Everybody under one roof, and I feel like media now is going back to, instead of all the pretty prim cut HGTV style edits. Everybody just wants raw again, and they don't want to be oversold and feel like everything's over expensive. So we have all the media that we have that we needed at the time, and now we're going back into raw, uncut. This is what it is type of construction, and just show people the work.
I find that too, and I agree. You're back to the raw. People relate to it more. But also find, I'd like to hear your experience or perspective on this. I find nowadays it's it's very easy to post like a nice reel and like videography now with AI. Like everyone's doing it, right? So it's very easy to appear like you're a lot bigger than you are.
Yeah.
And I find that I don't want to say the majority, but a lot of companies out there who appear big, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Absolutely. And media is one thing in Canada, especially. Like you can open an Instagram account now. You can have a construction business, and as long as you're good with your phone and a mic, you're going to make good videos. And people don't know what site you're at or whose work it is or if it's even actually yours.
Exactly.
And you make the page look good, and that's it. It's pretty. And
that's kind of what we talked about, Kosta, the other day. It's so funny because again, just I'm pretty sure you too, Phil, like just knowing some of the, let's just say, big developers or big company owners in the city that kind of everybody knows their names, right? Obviously being up here where we talked about our offices, like you get to meet a lot of these guys, and it's so funny because they have no social media, they have nothing, you know what I mean? And it's like the reality is look, obviously marketing is extremely important. Having your company out there is extremely important, but the reality is a lot of the guys that are busy and a lot of the guys that are killing it, you won't find them on social media. You can hardly find them on like a picture of them on the internet, right? Why? Because they're just too busy. Like they have no time for it. You know what I mean?
About the work.
Yeah, it's always about the work, and it's always about worrying about what's next instead of, like you said, creating this beautiful glitz and glamour video that make you seem a lot bigger than you are. And I get it. Look, like, there's a saying that, you got to fake it till you make it, right? But in construction, I feel like in this industry, it's a little bit different where the rawness, like I feel like those are the videos that if anybody wants to listen to anything, it's like or see something, those are the videos that people want to see. Yeah. Like how did you make it go from here to here, right? What are you doing today? What large project?
Young guys, you want to go on social, do it. It's great to promote your business, but be the transparent guy. Own the one-man show. Talk as if it's just you. You don't have to be somebody you're not. If you're good at something, show what you're good at. If you're bad at something, talk about it and talk about your problem-solving skills. And people will buy somebody who's real.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's really what it is too. It's the young man's thing, right? The social media. Guys like me and John, yourself, Kosta, like we've never made a single Instagram post for iPlum in 17 years. It's for us, it's irrelevant. The work is
I don't even think we have one. Yeah, I don't even think we
have social media. The work has always spoken for itself. We built our name on relationships and a good foundation of work. Period.
That's right.
Right?
That's what really counts.
So now I feel like these kids coming up, they think that it's like in order to get work, I have to be on social media. And to a certain extent, I think they kind of do, right? Like in 2026, if you're not, you might fall behind. But also if, to your point about being about the work, if you put your head down and you grind every day, you'll be recognized. People will want to work with you, whether you have a social or not.
Yeah.
Your phone number being passed around, word of mouth referrals means more than anything, right?
That's right. That's why I was kind of you just took the words out of my mouth. I feel like, like 2026, look, marketing is extremely important, right? Especially for somebody that's starting out. But at the same time, what's even more important is actually getting your name out there, right? Yeah. So like I've said it so many times on our show is I've never been out of work. If I find things are getting slow, I'm not sitting behind a camera making videos or, talking. It's like, buddy, I'm getting in my truck and I'm driving all around the fucking city. I'm calling everybody I know. I'm meeting up for a coffee, trying to get in front of them and trying to land something. You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, that's how you got to where you are, Phil. Yeah. Right? Just like you said, look at what you said. You went to Florida. You brought your fucking Rolodex. You set up your company. What did you do? You started knocking on doors, right?
Yeah.
You didn't create a beautiful Instagram post and it's like, hey, it's Phil. I'm here in Florida. This is the reality, right? We got to get back to like,
You gotta grind.
you got to grind.
Back to Kosta's point too. Like a lot of these guys are smoke and mirrors. I don't even consider a lot of these guys real contractors, and I think a lot of these companies fizzle out as well. Like, can you imagine, like John, me and you, we start the company, 15 years ago, and instead of like banging out work and fucking going to quote jobs, we're setting up tripods and checking the lighting. Say, fuck, you know what? I didn't glue that in right. Let's cut it out. Let's do it again. The amount of like time you really actually put that into perspective. And you know what makes me think of that? When my wife's scrolling, she goes, oh, did you see this video of this couple? They're so funny. It's like, these guys set up a fucking camera in the corner and they're trying to enact this like natural thing that they're doing, but it's all for show. It's bullshit. And I really look at these guys in the same exact way, that you're so focused on being in front of the camera that I don't think these guys are real contractors. I think for them, it's a means to an end. They're starting to make money and they're trying to build a business out of being this social media influencer, a contractor. And then they get offers by DeWalt and whatever. They start getting funding that way. So now they don't need all the work. They don't need to bang out, all these jobs.
It's a second income stream for them.
That's what it is, right? And you're no longer a contractor.
Right?
I laugh in the line of both.
I laugh at what you say because, even with my wife, I remember, a couple years ago, how every time you went for a nice dinner, like, it's like, wait, before you touch it, like she was taking a picture of the thing. So what I started doing was just like fucking, going like this to the plate, just to mess it up. She's like, what are you doing? It's like, yeah, like fuck this lighting and fucking like eat the food, like enjoy the moment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's so different.
Get out there, grind, man. Like,
and I just saw one. I saw one 2 weeks ago. It's a husband and a wife, and they're like forehead to forehead, and they're crying. And they're like, oh, they're just talking about connecting with your wife. It's like, these fucking lunatics set up a camera and they're either real crying or fake crying, and they're like for the world to see. But it's like, just if you actually stop and think about how messed up that is, right? But this is the society that we live in, and that's why going back.
Phil,
to
I could tell you wanted to say something.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say. I remember in like 2014, 2015, my brother was a laborer for me, and he was always on the camera on the side. He did photography and everything, and he was slow. He came to work as a laborer. He's like, you gotta go on Instagram. I'm like, what the fuck's Instagram? He's like, you have to do it. Businesses are on it. So he started following me around on my job sites with a fucking camera. And I remember whipping a fucking 2x6 across the house. I'm like, get this fucking thing out of my face. These guys are literally just setting this shit up before anything else these days.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's
but like, look, with that being said, though, like at the end of the day, like I'm not like anti-social media. Like we all have.
No, definitely.
I was 12 years ago. I really was.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's one thing to do it properly, be authentic, because it's really easy to see through all that shit.
Yeah.
That's when you can do well with social media as a viable marketing channel. What is a marketing channel? It's meant to get you business. It's not just meant to get you clicks and followers. But I feel like that's what a lot of these people do, is just for clicks and followers, and they want to be influencers, not contractors.
100%. And what we do, what happens when you're authentic is you don't realize how many people are following your page and your product and your thing, and they're getting to know you on a level that you don't even understand. And they might see you in public and be able to have a whole conversation with you, and you don't even know who they are because they're following you. They love the things you say and blah, blah, blah. So you're having an impact on somebody's life, and that might be why they choose to work with you in 10 years when they can afford to, when they decide to make that plan or that step to build or whatever for us. So I find that going on the channel is we're not selling pens and pencils here. It's something that people need to take time to plan for. And if they feel like they know you and they already can relate to you and love the things you say and love the products you build, that call could come God knows how many years down the road.
Yeah,
exactly.
Totally agree.
So it's beneficial. It definitely is beneficial to have social these days because you never know where they're coming from. Just fucking be authentic.
That's it. Yeah.
Last topic here, Phil. I don't want to be mindful of your time, but you're operating in a competitive space, home building, renovations, all that. But what do you think sets you apart compared to others?
Aside from me personally, because I'm a big relationship guy. I mean, no bullshit. Everything's going to be transparent up front. Aside from all that, my process. So our process is very strict. It's money strict, it's time strict, it's quality strict. And I feel like when you do not flex or let customers kind of push you and mold the way the job's going to go, that's a huge thing. And try to think of somebody like a lawyer, when you got to deal with a lawyer versus dealing with, I don't know, anybody else trying to collect money from you. Legally, you already have it in your head that, oh, fuck, this guy wants his money now. I got to pay, I got to do this, I got to do that. There's a process that this lawyer has that's so well pinned down that you automatically respect what they do and why they do it and how they do it. You have to have that same presentation in your processes with money, with scheduling, with quality, that you accept nothing other than what you provide. And when
That's a very good analogy example. Like,
Right.
Brilliant. Just like, yeah, when a lawyer sends you something, it's like there's no fucking around. It's like,
why is
there's a
that the email
process.
you want
Yeah,
to
why
read,
is that? Yeah,
not leave
that's
off
very
for the other
interesting.
ones,
Yeah,
like,
it's a good point.
they are prepared in a process type of way, and they're they're
I like
scheduled,
that.
they're strict, and they follow it. So your execution of your process is everything.
I like that.
That's amazing.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy.
Anything else we need to touch on, boys? Or
No, honestly, I truly, I tip my cap to you, Phil. Again, I think what you've done, and like you said, you built a business and you saw something going sideways, and you said, fuck this, I'm picking up, and I'm going to create another division there. I feel like, all of our listeners and, even myself, like these are the people we need to surround like ourselves with, right? Because like-minded people that are gritty, hungry, stop bitching and complaining, go and do it. I think it goes a long way for anybody listening, and anybody who's made it this far, man. Phil's another prime example of boots on the ground, no bullshit, and this is how everybody should be running their business.
Yeah, kudos to you, man. It's not often you meet someone that walks the walk. So,
you know what?
good for you,
We're
man.
all hardworking guys, man, and I bet you if we sit in a room together every day, we'll learn from each other. And what you guys have done is exceptional as well in comparison to where I've been. So it's like 17 years, no Instagram. That speaks volume.
Thank
That
you,
means
man.
we've put in the fucking time, and everybody gets respect for that. And that's what a lot of people off the scene don't see.
Yeah, and I think that's one key note that I want to put for this podcast is, everybody's looking at all these other avenues to bring in business, and that's kind of something I want to emphasize. It's like, don't forget what the key is. The key is to be diligent, to be a master at your craft. Whatever you promise, you have to deliver. Be a man of your word. Yeah. And when things are slowing down, don't just think that any social media is going to bring in the work. Your name and your reputation should supersede everything, right? So you got to keep going out there. You got to keep hammering those doors. And anybody listening that has a newer company or thinking about starting a company, just understand it's the grit, it's the rawness, it's you and what you do that are going to get you to those next levels.
100%. Stop looking for the easy avenues.
Yeah. We usually wrap this up with a question, but I actually want to ask you a bit of a different one, just because you operate on a different level. I could tell, right? You've been in this game. You operate internationally, expanded. So, in your opinion, what is the biggest mindset shift you had to make from going from someone in the trades to a CEO?
It was when I realized that I had to build my company based on everything that I hated as an employee. I had to do the opposite. So, for an example, when I was a super, I got backlash from customers for X, Y, Z. What were all the processes and everything I noticed my bosses were doing wrong? I had to put myself back in a headspace when I remember how much bullshit I was dealing with, and kind of reverse engineer that and try to correct those up front. And that's how I built heavy duty homes. And when I kind of understood that method, that's when it really started growing. So kind of working backwards was my mindset and fixing problems that I didn't even have yet.
Makes sense.
Amazing.
All right. Phil, man, this was an absolute pleasure. Appreciate you taking the time. If someone wanted to reach out, connect with you, I know you love social media, but where's the best place to find you?
Listen, man, I host a tradespeople cigar event every month, third Thursday of every month. So if you guys ever want to come
Nice.
in, smoke, eat, drink with all the guys that we're constantly building our network of guys. And
Where's this?
sorry, it's in Vaughan. It's
Okay.
it's the third Thursday of each month from 6 to 9, and we have hostesses. We got cigar aficionados. We got business. Everybody's in business. Everybody's in trades, real estate.
Nice.
It's
We're there, buddy.
great
Yeah,
events.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
If I get the invite, I'm there, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, I pop it on the gram each month. We do our little video. Whoever wants to click
Cool.
it, click it,
Awesome.
get a ticket,
Yeah.
and come. And there's different
Okay.
people that show up every month. This is a cool night out, and
That's cool.
we keep building our network of
Yeah.
hard workers.
Amazing.
And you know what? After this pod, I'm definitely going to take you up on that.
Yeah.
We're going to have a cigar together, maybe a scotch, and
Sounds
finally meet face to face.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you for having
Sounds
me.
good. Phil, appreciate it, man. We'll talk soon.
Good luck. Thank you.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Buddy. Ciao.